So we'll be spraying 1K Splash Paints 1K primer, and we have a plastic spoon that we're gonna demonstrate on, and we have sanded down the spoon with 800 grits European, so that might be about 1,000 or so American grit. So just keep that in mind. But the primer will cover scratches as low as, I believe, about 600 American. So if you're wanting to move quickly, this would be a really good product to be efficient with. So we're gonna take about, let's be generous and take about 1.5 milliliters of product. Load up to 0.2. This is harder in steam back infinity, but generally speaking, you want to stay under 0.35 needle. And with this primer, you want to spray semi-wet to wet. So just keep that in mind. If you do dry coats, you will have dry spots. So just make sure to keep things nice and wet. So for the pressure, you can go anywhere from 20 to 30 psi. That's when you are shooting the paint, so make sure it is shooting at 20 to 30 psi when you're pressing down on the trigger. And make sure to check your flow before you spray. Fire in the hole. And that's just the first coat. It almost covered completely. They are high solids primer, so it will have excellent coverage and filling characteristic of the sanding scratches. And usually within 2 coats, you should be done. But it's okay to apply more coats if necessary. And the benefit of this 1K primer is that they dry extremely quick, and you can save a lot of time instead of waiting around. And also, this primer will only work on plastics or resin, so keep that in mind. And if you need to paint over metal, you'd have to go with the 2K primer. Since it is matte looking, you are able to move on to second coat. And here we go. So I put in about 1.5 milliliters of primer, and it seems like we have about, I'd say, half a milliliter, or if not more, left in the cup. So as you can see, this is extremely well covering primer where you don't have to use a ton of product to get good coverage. And it's already dry, and we could probably start sanding already. So it'll be it'll save you a lot of time. All right, so for the base coat, we are going to be using a tri-coat. We have a metallic base, and then we have a transparent color layer that goes over the metallic base. And we sanded the spoon with 1,500 Asian grits or European, and that'll be about equivalent to, I'd say, 2,000 American. So just keep that in mind. So we'll be shooting the first base first. It's like a salmon pink metallic base that goes under the red. And the one thing we do is we have extremely small flakes to match scale models, so it will look extremely realistic, unlike our competition. we'll use about 1 milliliter of paint for this demonstration. Same thing with the primer, except we're not going to be laying wet coats for the first coat. We'll just kind of do a dry passes. And if you have slightly burn through areas, you can kind of touch over it before you shoot the whole thing, so it covers evenly. You just blow out any kind of contaminants, dust over the spoon, and just start shooting. Same thing with the primer. When the base coat looks matte, then you're able to move on to the next coat. And they're lacquer based, so it will dry extremely quick. We'll increase the flow a little bit. You want getting that bit of a good amount of paint going. When you're spraying base coats, especially metallics, it's easy to mess up. So make sure you are doing 50% overlap between strokes, so you get nice even coverage. And there we go. So this is step 2 for Rosso Fuoco. This is a Ferrari color. It's a tri-coat. Since we laid the metallic base, we have the transparent layer that goes on top of it. And with tri-coats, it's really susceptible to streaking. So you want to make sure you do 50% overlap with your strokes, with your airbrush. Just make sure you stay wide awake when you're spraying the tinted clear layer over the metallic base. Just like the first base coat for the first layer, we're gonna go pretty light to give the following layers a better adhesion. It's going to be layer number 2, and we're going to go slightly heavier. And this is going to be layer number 3, could be the final coat, depending on how deep of a red color you want. That's it. third and final for the clear coat. But before we start spraying, we should have done this earlier actually. But if you want a little more dust control, you can indeed spray down your booth with some just plain old water, just like that, just around all around to help this dust not stick to the clear coat. The water will attract the clear coat. So we're gonna start shooting, and we're gonna do a total of 3 layers. First coat is gonna be just a mist coat, a tack coat, so we can help the following layers a better adhesion, and also you want to wait between 5 minutes between coats, so you can you can let the clear coat settle and become tacky, so the following layer sticks a lot better. So we're going to start with the first coat, and it's going to be a light mist coat. Just don't go too heavy. I'd say about 50% coverage, and don't worry about full gloss yet. So it's been 5 minutes, and we're going to be laying layer number 2. And it's going to be slightly more paint than the first coat. This one should be some almost full coverage, but we're going to hit it with a third coat again to make sure. So don't worry about it. But if you do put too much, it could have some run. So here we go. You get some dust nib on there, but it'll polish out after when the clear coat cures. And when you are spraying 2K stuff, you want to make sure you have a really good respirator. N95s are okay, organic vapor, but I recommend P100 organic vapor with the pink filters on the outside. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Alright, so this is going to be the third and final coat, and it's going to be a full wet coat. Just be careful with how much you lay, and just lay it on there just like you did on the second coat. Yeah. And as you can see, we use a 0.2 needle. Ideally, you want to use 0.15, but as long as you stay under 0.2 or below, you can get a great leveling where you don't have to polish anything, so you can save a lot of time. We have some little nibs on there where you can easily polish that out without any problem. It will save you a lot of time and give you a great shine. So, and that's it.